Alli. I'm a nutritionist, yoga teacher, and author of the Smoothie Book. And I'm here to talk to you every week about nutrition topics and do a recipe. This week we are doing eggplant, and so much to discuss. What is an eggplant? Lots of information about eggplants, the types of eggplant, nutrition information about eggplant, all the different cuisines that use eggplant, which are a lot. And we are going to be doing a recipe for Italian eggplant meatballs, which are vegetarian, and I'm super excited to try these. I've never had these before, but they look really, really good. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. I always like to have a conversation during the show. So please join in. And I have my computer open. I'll be able to see the chat. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. So we're gonna mix things up a little bit, and we're gonna make the meatballs first because they bake for 15 to 20 minutes, and I wanna be able to show you the outcome because they are gonna look good. So you can either bake them or deep fry them. We're gonna bake them today. See how it goes. Okay, but before we get started with that, first of all, oven is preheated to 400. And one of the first steps that takes the longest in making these eggplant meatballs is that you have to roast the eggplant for 45 minutes to an hour. So I did that already. I did it last night, and it took an hour. So plan for an hour, and you just rotate it like every 20 minutes or so to just make sure all the sides are getting nice and cooked and charred, and that's also at 400 degrees. So I did that last night, put it in a bag, let it cool in the refrigerator. Then once it's roasted like that, it's super, super easy just to peel the skin off. So I peeled the skin off. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see all of my pictures this week because I have lots of pictures of the process. So follow me. Instagram is at Alli Shircliff, ALLISHIRCLIFF. I will be posting a reel all about it. Okay, so you peel the skin off, you take the stem off, you put it in a fine mesh strainer, press all the liquid out, stir it up a little bit so it becomes so it's not so stringy. And then that is where the story starts today. Okay, so we've got 2 eggplant that have been roasted, pressed. Here, I'm gonna come show you. So this is eggplant. It doesn't even look like eggplant now. You can see all the seeds and everything though. So this is 2 eggplant. I've stirred it. There we go. This is where the story begins today. Okay. Now we're going to add 1 egg to the bowl. We're going to add half a cup of finely grated Parmesan, which I grated with a microplane, one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. Then we have half a cup of breadcrumbs, always good to have on hand. I keep them in the freezer because I don't use them that much, but I think it's super helpful to have them in the freezer, then they don't go rancid. Otherwise, they kind of go rancid because I don't use them all that much. So if you don't use them that much, put them in the freezer. Okay, then we've got 1 clove of garlic. The recipe says 1 clove. I did 2 because we like garlic in this house. And some salt, some pepper. I'm just going to do a couple grinds of salt. I'm going to skip the pepper. Raphael, my husband, doesn't love pepper, so I don't put it in a lot of things. And 1 to 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped parsley. This parsley is from our garden. Even in the winter, we've got parsley. It's really, really great. Okay. And then it calls for oregano. Not a huge oregano fan, so I'm not putting it in. Okay. I'm gonna take a fork and stir this all together. And I'm using a fork so that I can break up the egg, because we want the yolk to be nice and mixed in. All right, so once the yolk is broken, I think you can use a spoon. Okay, so put that in the sink. Okay, so this is looking like a really nice meatball mixture. Okay, and the nice thing about eggplant is that it kind of takes on the flavor of whatever it's with, because it's a very absorbent vegetable or plant. So this looks to me like it could use a little bit more breadcrumbs. So we're gonna roll these in breadcrumbs too, but I'm gonna add 2 more little handfuls because it'll still have a lot of moisture, but I wanna be sure that they stay in the shape that I form them in. Okay, there we go. This is looking good. Looking good, looking good. Okay, now we are done with the salt, so we will just put that there too. Okay, I've got my handy little baking sheet right here lined with parchment paper. And what we do next, I'm gonna put this here. Yeah, good. You can still see it. I'm gonna move my tea so that you can see it even better. Okay, now we're gonna shape these into little meatball size shapes. And let's see here. Okay, there we go. And then we roll them, that's a little big. Okay, then we roll them in breadcrumbs. So that's why I have this bowl. So I'm gonna just kind of roll it in, and then you put it on the baking sheet. Okay, so we're gonna keep doing this. It says it makes about 14, so I think so. All right. And then we're just gonna put them on the baking sheet. These are probably, well, I don't know. I think they kind of look like the size of the ones on the recipe page. Okay, we've done 3. Here we go. These are looking good. So these can be an appetizer. We're gonna have a Mediterranean feast tonight for our dinner. So I'm gonna make roasted garbanzo beans. We're gonna have pita. We're gonna have some nicely spiced chicken. We're gonna have cucumbers and red onion and these little meatballs. So everybody can make a little sandwich if they want, or have everything a la carte. Oh, and I have roasted artichoke hearts. The marinated artichoke hearts. Yeah. Okay, so it's too bad we don't have that fast forward option in this video, huh? Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, so eggplant. This is so I'll just tell you about some of the varieties. We'll start the discussion now. So most of the varieties in the US that we are most familiar with, like that big teardrop shaped eggplant that you see in the grocery, is called a globe eggplant. That's what we mostly have, but there are also the Japanese, Chinese eggplants, which are a lot smaller and they're a little bit lighter in color, and they have fewer seeds, and they also have a thinner skin, so you can eat the skin. I mean, you can eat the globe eggplant skin too, but it's just a little, the skin on the Japanese and the Chinese is a little bit thinner. So that's good to know. Yeah, the recipe page on this shows them served like a little appetizer with a little skewer, like toothpick. Couldn't think of the word, toothpick, but it was metal. Okay, so there we go. So I made, oh my goodness, I think I made 14. I love it when that happens, when it is exactly what they said. Made 14. There's just a little bit left, so we'll just make a little tiny one. Okay, next we are going to give my hands just a quick rinse because that did get a little bit messy, but that's okay. That's fun. That's what my son always says. That's okay. Okay, next we're gonna sprinkle some Actually, I'm gonna brush some olive oil on them. It says to pour, but I figured let's just brush. I think that is just a little bit easier, and then I for sure get the oil on the meatballs. I'm gonna come show you what these look like because they look good. All right. They do look very, very good. And then we're gonna put some last minute Parmesan on top. Just a little bit, because we don't want it to burn, but just get that little extra flavor. I'm sure that some of those little pieces left on the parchment will get a little cooked, but that's okay. But that's okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna come show you. These look good. Look at that. Wish I could take a picture of that. All right. So now I'm gonna put them in the oven. The oven is right underneath the camera, so you'll hear the oven door opening. And it says to cook them for 15 to 20 minutes, rotating them halfway. So I'm gonna cook them for 8 minutes, and then we will rotate. Okay, so, whoops. So let's set the timer. There we go. So let's make sure that's what she said. To rotate or flip. Halfway through, turn the meatballs. So I think I'll flip them. I guess that's what she means. Or maybe just turn the pan. We'll see. We'll see how they look. We'll see how they look. We'll make an executive decision. Okay, so let's talk eggplant. Okay, what is an eggplant? An eggplant is also known as aubergine, also known as Guinea squash, and it's a tender perennial plant in the nightshade family, and it's grown for its edible fruits. So it is technically considered a fruit because it has seeds. We talked about this last week in the cucumber episode, how plants are considered fruits or berries if they have seeds. So it's considered a fruit, although we eat it like a vegetable in more of a savory way. And the stem of the fruit is often very spiny, which it was. Okay, eggplant need a warm climate to grow in. So some people say they originated in Southeast Asia, some people say India, some people say Africa. So the origin isn't completely known, but all of those places are warm. So, and now they are more likely to grow, other places in the world, such as those countries. Or areas of the world, I guess. The plant is very closely related to tomatoes and potatoes, nightshade family. And the eggplants that we are familiar with in the US are dark purple. The interior, the flesh is very spongy. And the colors can range though. So they come in the dark purple. You can find them striped, you can find them light purple, you can find them pale green, yellow, or reddish. So I would love to see all these different colors. That would be really cool. Really, really cool. Okay, so eggplant is some general information. Now we're going to discuss general information. So eggplant we'll talk about this a little bit more when we do the nutrition component, but it's kind of low in nutrients. There aren't a ton of nutrients in eggplant, but they still offer a lot to us. So they absorb oil really well, they absorb flavors really well, and so that's why they're used in a lot of dishes, because they have culinary benefits more so than the nutritional benefits. So that's why they're used. And we'll talk about all the different cuisines that use eggplant, which there are a lot of different cuisines I'm going to mention today, and I'm sure there are many more that I won't mention, but there are a lot. So in 2018, China and India combined accounted for 87% of the world production of eggplants, which that's a big chunk. Botanically, they're classified as berry because they have seeds. And the seeds are small, soft, and edible. They were in that mixture that I just had. And sometimes they're a little bit bitter. because they either contain or are covered with nicotinoid, which is an alkaloid related to tobacco. And tobacco is also in the nightshade family. Everything's related. Everything's related. Okay. Let's see. I see. Okay, I was just looking at comments, but mostly comments versus questions. Okay. So, what else? And, oh yes, because of the plant's relationship to all the other plants in the nightshades, some people back in history believed them to be poisonous, believed eggplant to be poisonous. And this is interesting that, and so if you do consume the flowers and the leaves of the plant, they could be poisonous, but you have to eat a lot of them. A lot. So eggplant has also been, in folklore, it has been discussed that it could cause insanity. So in the 13th century Italian traditional folklore, the eggplant was said to cause insanity. And in the 19th century Egyptian folklore, insanity was said to be more common and more violent after eating eggplant when they're in season in the summer. So, who knew? Who knew? Okay, so a lot of preparations for eggplant say to salt the eggplant, especially if you've sliced it, like for eggplant parmesan. If you slice it into big circles, to salt it because it draws out the moisture, because eggplant has a lot of moisture in it. So sometimes it is said to add salt. This one we did not, just because we roasted it and a lot of the liquid came out that way. But another popular method is to fire roast eggplant or oven roast or broil so that the skin gets really charred, like what I was saying that happened here, and then it makes it easy to pull off the skin, and then you can use it for things like dips, other dishes like meatballs like we're doing today. Okay, let's see. They can also be marinated. They can be pickled, grilled, braised, deep fried, sauteed, stir fried, and baked. So many different ways to cook eggplant. Okay, so let's discuss the different cuisines that use eggplant. One is Greek cuisine, the dish moussaka, which is kind of like a Greek lasagna. It has a ground meat, it has eggplant, it has potatoes that are kind of mashed, and this is all layered together, so it looks like, when you slice it, it looks like lasagna. Then there's the Italian eggplant parmesan, or parmigiana, which we know and love. Cut it into circles, bread it, coat it in egg, bake it, tomato sauce, Parmesan cheese, sometimes mozzarella cheese, pasta on the side, delicious. Middle Eastern baba ganoush, which is a dip that kind of looks like hummus, but it's made with roasted eggplant and tahini and garlic and lemon juice, and delicious. Delicious, delicious. It has a very smoky flavor because it's been fire roasted. Chinese preparations in Chinese cuisine, it's either deep fried or roasted and then eaten with garlic and chilies and oil, and or the flesh is removed and pounded into a mash and served with rice and alongside other dishes. Japanese cuisine, eggplant is sliced and grilled and then layered or rolled with meat. In Korean cuisine, they're either steamed or stir-fried or pan-fried and eaten with side dishes. In the Philippines, it's cooked in stews and soups or in an omelet. So this is interesting. Slices of eggplant are coated in egg and then cooked like an omelet, and a lot of times the stem is still intact. Indian cuisine. A lot of Indian recipes include eggplant. So in India, sometimes it's considered the king of vegetables because it is included in so many dishes. So there's a tamarind lentil stew with eggplant. There's a dal preparation, which is lentils usually, with vegetables and chutneys and curry, and sometimes it's pickled. Let's check on the meatballs. Okay, it's been 8 minutes, so we're gonna check. Turn the timer off. I'm gonna go downstairs to the oven. Okay. They look Looking good. Looking good. I think it might be good if I flip them. So, except then the cheese. Okay, I think I'm just gonna rotate the pan. We'll rotate the pan, and we'll do another 8 minutes, and if we feel like we need to flip them, then we will. Sounds like a good compromise. I'm compromising with myself. Okay, here I go, putting it back in. Okay, and set the timer. 8 minutes. There we go. Okay, we have 8 more minutes to discuss the eggplant. Okay, so where were we? Oh, in India. So it's pickled as well. So lots of different dishes in India. French ratatouille, which is a combination of tomatoes and bell peppers and zucchini and onions and garlic and eggplant, sometimes in a stew, sometimes sliced and made into a really beautiful dish, like in a circular pattern. But we just recently watched Ratatouille, the cartoon, at our house, and so good. So there were different preparations of ratatouille. Okay, and in Iran, it's blended with whey and added to a stew with tomatoes. In Romania, it's mixed with roasted eggplant is mixed with roasted red peppers, chopped onions, tomatoes, celery, mushrooms, carrots, and spices. So it sounds kind of like ratatouille, but I'm not sure, it might be different. And in Spain, there is a dish called escalavida, and it's strips of roasted eggplant, sweet pepper, onion, and tomato. So many different cuisines that include the eggplant. I'm sure I missed some. If you know some, let me know. Okay, so health information on eggplant. Eggplant is 92% water, which is a lot. That's a lot of water. That's why it's so spongy and why adding the salt really helps draw that moisture out. 6% carb, 1% protein, and negligible amount of fat. And as I said before, it's kind of low in nutrients, but we will discuss the ones that it has. And yeah, so it's still good to add to your life. Okay, so I have three health benefits for you. Number 1, it has antioxidants. We know antioxidants are good for our immune system, help battle those free radicals and oxidative stress that can happen on our cells. And it has anthocyanins, which are plant chemicals that give the eggplant that really nice purple color. And those provide the antioxidants. Benefit number 2, it is a great source of fiber. So 1 medium eggplant has 14 grams of fiber. That's a lot of fiber. So we know fiber is good for our digestion. It may help lower our cholesterol. We know it's good for our heart. So great addition for the fiber component. And last but not least, it's a good source of potassium. So 1 medium eggplant has 20% of our daily needs for potassium. We know potassium's an electrolyte and it's a mineral. It's good for us. It helps keep our blood pressure at the right levels and it keeps things in balance. So there we go. Those are the good things. Okay, so the different types. We went over this a little bit. I'll go over it again. The most common eggplant in the US that we see is the globe, also known as the Italian eggplant. So it's that big shape. Follow me on Instagram. You can see the pictures of what the eggplant looked like before I roasted it. But it's the big elongated teardrop shape vegetable, or eggplant, vegetable / fruit. And then there's the Chinese eggplant, smaller seeds, thinner skin, lighter in color. It's more lavender than that dark purple. And yeah, you can eat the skin more easily. It's a little bit thinner. And then there's the Rosa Bianca or graffiti eggplant, which is a striped eggplant. I've never seen these before, but I think that sounds really cool. They have a milder flavor than the dark purple that we are aware of. And apparently when you cook them, those stripes go away. So it's almost like magic eggplant. Pretty cool. Okay, so are there risks in eating eggplant? Well, some people say that they get allergic reactions from eating it or from touching it, or they get a headache, they get itchy skin. So that's interesting. That's interesting. And there was a study done in 2008 in India where a lot of eggplant is eaten, and they found that of the sample of people that they studied, 10% said that they have some sort of allergic reaction to eggplant, which is interesting. And apparently people that are more genetically disposed to, or predisposed, I guess, or to have allergic reactions to things may be more sensitive to eggplant because it has histamine in it. Interesting. And then there's the other whole group of people that believe that nightshades may cause inflammation, may make arthritis worse. So if that is something that you have found when you eat nightshade vegetables, then maybe avoid them or talk to your doctor about how many you could eat. So, interesting. And last but not least, how do we store eggplant? In the refrigerator. They're pretty delicate, so they don't last a super long time in the refrigerator. So I would say use it within 3 or 4 days of when you buy it. Keep it, if you're keeping it whole, put it in the refrigerator, or in the drawer in the refrigerator. If you've chopped it up already, put it in an airtight container in the refrigerator, in a drawer. Use it as soon as possible because it does start to brown and the sponginess kind of goes away too. So basically, use them as quickly as you can from when you bought them. That is kind of it when it comes to all the information that I have. We've got 1.5 more minutes until these meatballs are complete, and I want to be able to show you the outcome. So I'm gonna get my other little oven mitt so I can hold it with 2 hands, because sometimes it's kind of hard to hold the baking sheet with just 1 hand. So let's review. We've got a few minutes, and let me see if we have any comments. I'm going to read the computer. Okay, so eggplant, the place of origin, it's not completely agreed upon, but the 3 places that it is agreed upon, I guess, is Southeast Asia, India, or Africa are the 3 areas of the world where people can agree that it probably came from one of those areas. It is a member of the nightshade family. It's technically considered a fruit because it has seeds, but we eat it like a vegetable. And let's see what else. The health benefits: antioxidants, fiber, potassium. And I'm just going to tack this on to more of a culinary benefit, but it takes on the flavor of whatever you cook it with. So it's very versatile that way. So many different cuisines that use it. It's put in stews, it's deep fried, it's put in meatballs, it's made into dips like baba ganoush. It's I already said deep fried. It's chopped up, pan fried, stir fried. So many different ways to consume eggplant. And our timer is going to beep. Okay, let's take a look at these meatballs. And I will end the show with showing you. Okay. They smell really, really good. Look at that. These are gonna be really good appetizers for our dinner tonight. There we go. I'm gonna give you a slow view. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Let me know if you are going to make these Italian eggplant meatballs. I will post on the Instagram this week, and I do see one more comment. Is it worthwhile eating? Oh, is it worthwhile eating? Yes, I would say eggplants are worthwhile eating for sure. Okay, thanks everybody. See you next time. Bye.